Hey everybody, I want to make a quick video on Mythic Broodkeeper ad tanking. This is mainly for my cotank since I'm sitting out next week, but I figured I'd make it public for anybody else that's interested. There are a lot of little nuances I did not know going into this fight that I wanted to talk about. So if you're interested, please enjoy, otherwise, here we go.
3, 2,
So on the
1.
pull, just do as much damage as you can, but save your big cooldowns, you're going to need them to stay alive. And to hold threat. So nothing crazy here, just for wildfire in phase 1, just step out and step in. But we're not here very long. So when she starts moving, right after her staff is when we leave. So this first spawn is hard, only because two sets of ads spawn on the other side of the room at the same time. So how we do this pull is, I have a rogue do tricks of the trade, and he goes to the other side. I pick up these two, and that I bring them together. It's very important that the DPS knows not to DPS into your grouped up. There's a lot of pulls where we'll be wiped because I couldn't get these in the right position because the DPS just started DPSing right away. So what I do is I just put a lot of threat into the big ad, then I interrupt the small ad, and then I get them together. The biggest thing here is to make sure you always face towards the wall, because the Earth Reaver is going to do a frontal that will stun you if you don't. These ads spawn right away, which means the threat table is initialized from when they land. This is important on the next set of ads. So you want to pick up these ads, group them up, get out of the AoE. Now this frontal is real pain. So basically it will go out in waves. If you get hit by any of the waves, you get stunned. This is kind of like the delay on the last boss in Shadow Moon Burial. If you go through the wall, but you take a hard left or hard right and go through the trail, you get the dot on you. Same thing here. If you get hit by any of the waves, even if it's delayed, you get stunned. It's very frustrating. So you want to make sure you're not in it, and you just let it go through, and you don't move until you know it's safe. Now, what we want to do is to always throw, as a DH, I have AoE stuns and AoE silences. You'll see me using them off and on. You want to use them for the mages, because they will kill DPS if you don't. Now, when these ads jump down, they will instantly aggro as well, which is what they should do. But keep it in mind, not everything does, and I'll show it to you here in a second. So when these come down, is when I use Feldev to get instant threat and everything. And now you're going to have 3 Earth Reavers that's going to do the tremors. So what I do is I aim it somewhere at the wall, then I sidestep, and I just wait there. And normally the other 2 will cast tremors at the same time, which makes it easy, and I just rotate back the other way. And then I stay here, and then rotate back the other way. The other big thing about this pull here is these Earth Reavers put a Sunder armor on you. And they can stack up really high. You can parry it, you can probably dodge it. But there's some pulls where I get up to 9. And I'm getting trucked. So I just always use meta here. I use a big cooldown. I don't have to worry about it. And then we move on. Now these next ads are where it starts getting weird. So when these first come down, I want you to look and watch how long it takes them to move, because this is very important. So they'll come down here and they will not do anything for about 3 to 4 seconds. And during that time period when they're not moving, you will do 0 threat. So as soon as they start to move, their threat is it starts at 0. So the DPS needs to know hey, there's a chance you're going to have threat once they start moving, so just be wary. It's a real pain. I don't know why they act like that, but these aren't the only ones that do that. So once you pick up all these ads, I sigil silence here if I have it or stun it. But once this dragon puts a raining bite on me, I leave. And I go to the next set of ads. And now these ads, again, won't move for 3 to 4 seconds. This is a problem. It means you won't have any threat until they move. So I save Feldev, and once they start moving, I Feldev them to pick them up fast. And to start tanking them. Now, the big Stormbringers have to be interrupted or you'll be stunned. They have to be interrupted. But the other big thing here is this rending bite. It really hurts. If you get 2 stacks, we have 2 evokers with me. So I call out when I want to get cauterized. So when I get 2 stacks, which should happen right now if I don't parry it, yeah. So I'm at 2 stacks of rending bite. I call for a cauterize.
Special
You
coming.
should see that now. So now I have no bleeds on me. We're good. And then I save the second cauterize I have until I have to move, because these ads will not be dead by the time I have to move.
Defensive.
So the point where I know I have to move is when the first proto dragon dies, and the Stormbreaker sometimes dies, sometimes it's barely still alive. So when the first proto drake dies
Spread.
and the second proto drake bites me is when I leave. So that's the
Defensive.
timing on it. So it dies now. Now I wait for the next bite.
Special
The
defensive.
bite's coming out now. And now I have a bite, but there's going to be a lot of raid damage that's going to happen. So this is when I call for the cauterize from the other evoker, because I'm going to jump away from my healers. I'm going to bleed out if I don't, remove the bleed. So I call for a cauterize, I jump to the other side of the room. And the dragon's still going to be alive by the time it gets to you. But these ads here will instantly aggro, so you have to be here ahead of time. If you're not, they're going to run right over to the boss group and everybody's going to die. So this has another tremor ad, so face towards the wall. There's two mages, so this is where I use stuns and silences.
Spread.
So this is the first set of two. Once this Earth Reaver does tremors is when we leave. So wait for the tremors, shoot it at the wall, then leave. You might have a dragon bite on you here. These ones don't aggro right away either, so save your big DPS cooldowns for threat.
Kill ads. Shockwave.
We're still gonna have a tremor ad alive, so make sure you shoot it at the wall. But the hardest part for this wave here, there's two Stormbreakers. You have to have DPS assigned for the interrupts, or you're gonna be stunned the entire time.
Watch your step.
Now I'm making a mistake here. My camera gets messed up, and see, so I tried to move, and then I shot the tremors the wrong direction. Thankfully, thankfully nobody got hit. Just keep that in mind. Your camera can get messed up. So this part here is easy. Just let them die.
Interrupt 3. Shockwave.
Alright. And then the next set ads over here. These do not aggro instantly, so save your big AoE. Oh, I messed up Sigil of Flame. I'm bad.
Watch your step.
But wait on your big DPS cooldowns until they start moving. Now,
Special coming.
I'm saving Feldev for the next pack. So once I get bit here by this Proto Dragon right now, I leave, go to the next set.
Watch your step.
And these do not aggro instantly, so you want to save your big cooldowns so they're already, once they start moving.
Watch your step.
And this pack's pretty easy. This is the last, we have one more small pack next, so what I do is I use both cauterizes when needed. So I'm going to get bit now, I'll call for the first one, just because it's just excess damage I don't need to take. And then I'll wait for the last cauterize until I move. So he's going to bite me here in a second. I'm going to call for the last cauterize, and then we move. So we do this in 11 turns instead of 12, which means we only get half the next pull, and we don't want the very last pull has two big dragons, we just don't want that. So we do this with 11 egg breaks instead of 12 egg breaks, which is why we only get one set here, and that's how we wanted it. So the only tricky thing here on this one is these will aggro instantly, and it will instantly kill any melee that's in the way. I've seen this happen like twice. I just am like, guys, just let me be the only person in melee until I get threat, then walk in. Otherwise, you're gonna die. So as soon as I have threat, they walk in now. I'm gonna fell dev and miss an ad because I'm bad. The only big thing here is so right here the cast went up. This needs to be purged instantly. We have two Blood Elves assigned to this. So Koala does his, and I get the second one. You do it right away, because you don't want them to heal. So Koala should do his now. I'm waiting. There's mine. I used it. We're good. So on Wildfire in Phase 2, you want to drop it in melee, take a step back, drop it, and move back into melee. Now, you don't move until you see the swirly underneath you. Then you walk out of it. Then you move again. So these are the last ads we got. We have to purge them one more time. I'm using my single target purge. And then I'm going to group these up on the boss.
Watch your step.
I should have moved them in earlier. Alright, so this is where it gets tricky. You cannot have a lot of stacks of wildfire on you when you're tanking the big hit. At least as a DH, you die and it's terrible. DH is terrible for phase 2. So what you do is you stand in melee, you drop it, you run out of melee, This was a mess. First one was a mess.
Taunt boss.
So you taunt instantly as soon as the off tank gets the debuff. Now, since we use a Blood Death Knight, basically he eats 98% of all the stuff. But as soon as he gets the healing debuff, I taunt. It doesn't matter if he has a soak or not. I'll taunt it instantly so he doesn't have to tank with the healing debuff. And then once the healing debuff is gone, he's going to taunt back.
Watch your step.
So he's going to eat the next big hit. So here hopefully is a better example. You want to stand in melee.
Watch your step.
The rogue, or Qualo, DH is in the way. But anyway, so you drop it, you move back, wait for it to disappear,
AoE incoming.
run back in. Nice and easy. Do that every time.
Special taunt boss.
So for a DH on this soak, we're absolutely terrible at it. Like we're so bad. So what I do is I call for a guardian angel. So I make sure I have fiery brand on the target for the initial soak, and then once the AoE soak comes in, I call for a GA. So fiery brand's up. Now I call for a GA. You see it there. And then I'm gonna fell dev just to go into meta to be safe. At least I think I am.
Watch your step.
And that's it. Basically, you just repeat the same cycle non-stop until the fight's over. So sit in melee, run out, run back in, done.
Special coming.
But there's nothing else to it. I think I only end up soaking one or two this fight. The Blood Death Knight soaks every other one. This is actually one of our worst pulls going into this, but we were able to pull it off. There's just so much passive damage this entire fight that it gets sketchy. And while taking the ads, there's a lot of times where it gets real sketchy. So just blow all your defensive cooldowns. If you think you're going to die, just use them. And then you'll get a good feel of when you're going to need them and when you don't. But it's a lot of damage you have to deal with. As you notice, I don't ever use far rear brand. I save it just because me doing extra damage is irrelevant if I die when I have to soak. And I don't know if I'm going to soak again, so I just hold.
Special coming.
But honestly, there really isn't much to phase 2. Like, this is easy, it's just increasing damage as the longer you take, which is why you start seeing people bleed out over time.
Spread.
Just the key part is you just instantly taunt once your cotank gets the debuff. And then don't overlap wildfire like that rogue just did. For soaks, we were just using 2 tanks and 1 rogue. If you split it with more damage or more DPS, it's really not that bad. So you can always use a lot more. Just use all your melee, and it's a lot easier for the tanks to stay alive. But we already, stuck to this plan of 3 soaks that we didn't switch it. I was delayed on that taunt. I should have taunted already. Yeah, I didn't taunt at all. That was bad. Thankfully, she was casting 6 or 7 seconds out of that 10 seconds, so he was fine. But I should have taunted. And that's really it. It gets a really shitty crossovers near the end. Right there, I just fell dev'd just because I knew I was going to need some more flames.
Watch your step.
Just notice I also didn't use my second pot.
Watch your step.
But yeah, that's really it. So this is a quick guide on how to be the ad tank on this, and if you're a DH, hopefully you have a Blood Death Knight to go with you, because tanking that tank buster it just kills you. It is really bad.
AoE incoming. Taunt spread. Watch your step. Special coming.
And that will do it. Phase 2 is just about attrition. You have plenty of time, assuming you don't start losing DPS early. We had 1 DPS dead the entire phase 2 and we still killed it. So, hope this guide helps. If you have any questions, leave in the comments, and thank you for watching.